Okay, welcome to tutorial number 17. We're going to create a new application, new project rather, I'm sorry. And this is going to be a web view. We could, depending upon, you got to understand something. If we wanted to do it navigationally based or tab bar, we could do it any way we wanted to do. I want to start from the ground up and show you that it's not much different than our application that we had last time, which was our demo app for our table views with our picker. We're going to call this our web view. Alright? And the reason that I want to do this is because, I'm going to put this on my desktop, is because I've seen too many people, when they teach people about this stuff, they don't give them the building blocks. They just send them into the application. Do this, do that, do this. Very confusing. Notice, it's the same root structure we've had before. We had an app delegate. We have an app delegate, I should say. We have a main window, right? And the main window, if we go to our app delegate and we look over here at the file, all the information from the app delegate comes from the two classes here, our implementation and declaration and implementation. We then go to our nib, which is the view controller nib, and that's the same thing if you think about it that we've been doing. We got to go to the files owner, and the class is the web view controller. So these two classes control what goes in here. All right. We're going to walk over to the app delegate just for a minute. Again, you haven't seen anything differently here. Remember, in our demo app, we had the same thing. We had a window and a view controller, right? Or in that case, I believe it was a view controller because it did the same thing here, right? We declared our properties here. And then from those variables become, we create objects. So I'm just going to look right here in the hierarchy, and there you have it. You have actually these are outlets, and then these are variables because they are outlets. We're going to come back here just for a second. So, and there they are, the outlets. So there's nothing really different than what you've seen. This is an application delegate, our WebView app. WebView app delegate. We're going to go over to the WebView controller, and this is a general UI view controller. Nothing crazy. A view controller simply is something that looks at a view. A specific one would have been a table view controller or a picker. But we've seen, like when we added something, if we had to push an add screen in the navigational controller, we saw a view controller, a general view controller. So this is nothing new, and of course in the declaration file here, same thing. We're just loading up what we see. All this information loads up what we see here, right? Okay, first thing we need, we're going to come down here to our objects, and we need a web view. We're going to put that here because this is going to be the view. I'm just going to take a step back here right now. See here, loaded from our web view controller. Whatever's in the main window comes from here. It's going to be the first window we see. Now, if you didn't want that to be the first window you see, the web view, you could bring a table view up first, select items from the table view, and have them launch a web view. And I'm going to show you that too. It's a real neat thing if you want to do that. Or you could have a regular browser if you wanted. We're going to just to show you how it functions, the view, we have it here. Now, remember what I said, anything that the user interacts with here, and I've said this before in other tutorials, you have to have an outlet for. I'm going to take a step back to our main nib. Our app delegate is linked to our two outlets here, and the referencing is the file's owner, because all the information comes from our app delegate classes, or declaration implementation. So we reference that, and then of course the two outlets are already created for us. So we need an outlet here. If we go to our web view, we have none. We have no referencing outlet. We go to our view, however, we do have our referencing outlet for the view is the file's owner. So that that's fine, but it's here that we need an outlet, right? Okay. So we're going to come here. We need to put it here. In order to connect it here, we've got to place it in what? In the class. I'm going to go back here again. In the class, which the nib owns. Wait a second. Okay, portrait. Wait a minute. Come on. It's here. Wait a second. Okay, there it is. So whatever class owns this nib, or whatever class is the file's owner, that's where we've got to put the outlet, except, I want to say the exception would be, if it were an app delegate, you know, then we'd have to place the outlet there, which, notice, the outlets are still at the file owner. I'm going to come over here to the file's owner. They're still there. Well, they're declared actually in not... The file's owner is here is the application, to be specific. Here, the file's owner is these two files. And that's where those outlets are declared. So wherever you have access to the outlets, that's where you're going to declare them, and that's where you're going to connect them. Alright, so we're going to take a step back again to here. So we need to place what? We need to place an outlet in this file or in our WebView controller class. Where we're going to place that? Are we going to do that like we did this over here? No. We only need it accessible to the class. We don't need to declare it as a property. It just needs to be an outlet. This one here is not only accessible as an outlet, but it's accessible throughout this class. That's why it's declared here. So if I'm running too quickly, please email me, talk to me, let me know. Alright, so again, the outlet has to be here. And it's an IB outlet, right? And it's a UI what? Web view. And we can call it whatever you want to call it. I don't know, my web, web. Hello. I'm bad at typing here, but we're gonna, there we go. On my web view, whatever you want to call it. But remember the Apple's syntax, lowercase and then uppercase. You really want to call it something WebView, so you know what this variable is. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go to the hierarchy now, and close the delegate one here, open this one up, and there it is. It's an outlet. So you know it's been created. Second question to you now probably would be, well, do I have to synthesize anything, or no? It's a strict outlet. If it were a variable, you'd create the property and then synthesize. The outlet is just the outlet. It connects it, and that outlet will be accessible as well throughout the class. It will be. Alright, so we come over here, double click here. New referencing outlet will be where? The file's owner, and it's my web view. We connected it, and we're in good business there. Alright, last but not least, when this thing loads up, it won't have, should I say, any web page, right? I mean, it's going to load up this blank web view. It's going to not show anything. So we need to put in a web page of some sort. And we got to uncomment the viewDidLoad method, as I just did. And below the super, this one here, we're going to put this right in here. Okay? And I'm going to type in, you guessed it, my web view. Okay. So, whoop, we have two in here. There we go. Okay. I copied that code from a previous example that I was working with. I'm just going to come down here and type it slowly. I'm going to type in, it picks up the outlet my web view. We type in the load request method. It says, okay, load request. I want an NSURL request, right? Which says request me URL request. Request me, I need a URL. Grab that's request method. Alright, I need a URL. I'm going to type in NSURL. and then the URL, which, whoops, I'm sorry. Okay, gotta get this right. NSURL, brace, sorry, NSURL, and then URL with string. Now, what does this mean? It says, okay, look, I need some sort of, well, we'll go back here. For the my WebView outlet, run a load request method. The load request picks up the variable. It's an NSURL request and request with URL method. The request with URL method says, okay, I need a URL. So what you're saying is, look, I need to, for this WebView, load a request for a URL, request the URL, get the URL, and type it in. Alright? It's not very difficult when you see it. It's just a matter of understanding the code. Okay? And, whoops, sorry. We're going to put the colon here, and of course, whenever you do a string, we could have typed HTTP. I don't know. Our friends over there at www.yahoo, right, .com. If it's okay with them, I'd like to put their webpage just, oops, I'm sorry, I gotta put a quotation marks. It's at sign in the quotation, as we've seen again and again and again with oh, I'm sorry, with code. So the URL, now these URLs, I'm going to uncomment one just for a moment. These URLs are static, which means once we load this, we should see this particular URL load. And we're going to give it a whirl here. We should see the Google web page if we're good. And there it is. Alright, I'm going to quickly uncomment the one here. Now, what do you think is going to happen if I leave this and then this? It's going to load one with this one, and then it's going to load this one. We're going to run it. It's going to override. The second one will override the first, if I'm correct. And there it is, Yahoo. Our WebView asks, we're going to say don't ask me again and don't allow our current location. Interesting. Notice we got something in here, server did not accept client registration and so forth in our little message box. I'm going to uncomment the first one. Right. Okay, said the same thing here for this particular website for Yahoo. We may not get that at Google, but this is the beginnings of how you create web-based viewed items that you can use to base web views. This one didn't do it here. So I could have had before this a table view and selected from there and loaded this web view in. There's so many things that you can do with it. I think I'm going to do that next time. I'm going to have a whole slew of websites there. And now, in the typical browser, as you know, you have a search pane to search, and you type in websites and so on. But what if you didn't want that? What if you wanted somebody to only access certain websites and then go from there? I mean, I could type things in Google here if I want. Notice what happens. I could type in Yahoo, right? And that would bring me to my Yahoo site as well, right? Got the same message here. Now notice I can't go back though. I don't have the back and forward keys. So how do you want the user to navigate within here? If I wanted the user to go to only one web page and see something, right? I could do it with a table view and say click this, go to a web page, click that, go to a web page. So there's a lot of flexibility there. I mean, we could also have added, if we wanted, the back and forward keys as well, but then we have a browser. So you have to kind of draw this fine line as to where the browser is going to be, and then where this, what I call an application client, a WebView application client, will do. I would prefer in an application to only let the user access a particular web page, and then go from there. Now, if I were doing this with a table view, where I clicked on a table view and loaded a web page, I would still have a back key, remember, because it's a navigational control. I'd have a back key. I could go back to my table view, load up another page, and close out the current page. Might be some kind of functionality you might want to use. There are so many browsers out there, it's pointless to write another browser. But you have access to this nice web view kind of thing. Now, if you set up your application to allow the user to add links to web pages, that's fine too. There is a caveat. You've got to make sure that those web pages work. If they don't, the user would have to add the correct web page. If it's a table view like we did prior to this, the user could delete the table view entry and add another one that's a correct one if they know what the web page is. Or what you could do is you could basically set up a picker and have the user select the web pages they want to go to. That's an option too. There is a lot that you can do. The bottom line is, what you do and how you do it as a developer is up to you. So, what can we do with this? What can I show you with this? Well, we can show you how it would work with the table view, which I think I'll do next time. And we can show you possibly how to do it with a picker as well, which is also kind of fun too. But notice it's no different than what we started with. Every application starts with the basic protocol: app delegate, a main window, a primary controller, and at least one view, and that's it. We have some options here. Let me think about it. I think the table view might be something interesting to see. The picker certainly would be interesting to see. Possibly adding a search bar on top of the our controller here. Possibly doing that. By the way, let's go in here to this web view, and I want to go to the web view. Notice you have some options for the web view. You have links, right? You can check off links and addresses and events and scale pages to fit. Let's see exactly how those things play into. It detects its detection for links and so on and so forth. That's what it will do. And events and addresses, it'll detect them. So as you type away, Yahoo's in our history, by the way, it will detect those. Other things that you can use, I'm going to take some of these things off here, except for links. I'll let it detect links. There isn't really much, right? You have this scaling and so on. We'll scale to fit the page as well. It's quite simple, right? If we wanted a search, let's see, there is in here a search bar. That will be right there. It displays an editable search bar containing, alright, search controller as well. That is also, it's been done, and there are several books on it. I'm not gonna design another browser. I think that, to me, as a developer, there's just so many out there. Why would you do it? And Apple will tell you the same thing. We don't need another browser. But you can use this to an advantage. If you want to go to a wiki site, in particular, in your app, and you want the user to click on something to look at that site, it's there. There's no reason why you can't use that. Again, the only caveats are, make sure the sites are active. If they're not, you're going to lose them. If you want the user to go to your website, alright, go to my website. Bam, it's there. Alright, so there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of possibilities. We're going to come back in tutorial number 18, We're going to build on this web view. We're going to, I think, load up some table view. We're going to load up, again, the table view. We're going to use, maybe we'll even take the our application demo, the one we did, the R demo app, and maybe we'll build on that and use a static array like we did for the dwarves, and we'll load sites from table view, or we'll do it from a picker as well. So I'll see you next time, and take care.